The sun was setting behind jagged alien mountains, painting the sky in harsh orange and red hues. The wind howled through the barren valley, carrying dust and the faint smell of decay. A small group of alien children huddled together near a cracked water basin. Their bodies weak and frail, eyes hollow, stomachs empty. They shivered in the cold. Their mother, a tall alien with pale blue skin and glowing amber eyes, moved from child to child, brushing the dirt from their hair and whispering soothing words. Yet her voice trembled with fear and desperation. For days she had not been able to find food. The local flora had withered, and hunting the few surviving creatures was too dangerous. Her children's cries grew weaker, and each passing hour filled her with more panic. From the ridge above, a lone human figure appeared, moving carefully across the rocky terrain, clad in a rugged jacket and carrying a small backpack. He scanned the area, unaware of the tiny eyes watching him from below. The alien mother's heart pounded in her chest. Every instinct screamed at her to act. She stepped out from behind the shadow of a rock, waving her arms, her voice cracking as she called, "Please, help us," she shouted. Her words carried across the empty valley. The human pausing, turning his head, studying the strange alien figure below. She ran a few steps closer, dragging her feet through the dust, her eyes wide, her body trembling. "My children haven't eaten for days," she cried. "Feed them and I'll be yours forever." The human froze. Unsure how to respond, he had heard rumors of alien settlements, but never seen one up close. His mind raced, questions forming faster than he could answer. Was she lying? Was this a trap? Could he trust her words? Yet something in her voice, the raw desperation, made him pause. There was no malice, only fear, only a mother's love for her children. The alien children stirred, their small hands reaching toward the human. Their eyes, large and shimmering, reflected both hunger and hope. The human's heart tightened. He knew he could not walk away, not while those innocent lives hung in the balance. He took a cautious step forward, his boots crunching on the jagged stones. The mother's eyes lit up with a mix of relief and disbelief. She gestured toward the children, urging the human closer. "Please," she begged again, her voice low and trembling. "Just a little food, and I will give anything you want." The human looked at the children, noticing the bruises and scratches, evidence of their struggle for survival. He reached into his backpack, pulling out a small packet of ration bars he had saved from his own supplies. The mother's eyes widened as he handed one to the nearest child. The little alien hesitated, then took it, his tiny fingers trembling as he bit into the food. A sigh of relief escaped the mother, though she did not relax completely. Her instincts told her danger still lurked. Not all beings in this valley were kind. There were predators that roamed the night, and rival alien clans that would kill to claim resources. She kept one eye on the human, one eye on the horizon, her heart beating like a drum. Every second mattered. She whispered to her children, urging them to eat. "Eat quickly, my little ones. We must be careful." The human sat on a nearby rock, watching the children, observing the way they cautiously accepted the food. His mind wandered, wondering what had happened to their family. Why were they alone? How long had they been surviving in this harsh environment? The mother noticed his curiosity, sensing that he wanted answers but also understanding the need for caution. She spoke softly, her voice carrying both hope and warning. "There is more danger than you see here. Stranger, but you have chosen to help, and that is brave." Suddenly, a low growl echoed from the canyon behind the settlement. The children froze, their eyes wide with terror. The mother's body tensed, shielding them as she scanned the shadows. A predator had smelled the food, drawn by the scent. The human instinctively stood, placing himself between the creature and the children. He gripped a metal pipe he had found earlier. "Ready to defend?" the mother whispered urgently. "We must move now." Without hesitation, the human gathered his courage. The alien mother led the children toward a hidden crevice in the rocks, the only place that offered shelter. The growl grew louder, echoing across the valley. Hearts raced, feet stumbled over the uneven ground. Dust and small stones sprayed as they ran. Yet the human and the alien mother worked together, guiding the children safely. Their trust began to form, fragile but undeniable. Finally, they reached the small rocky hideout. The children collapsed, exhausted but safe. The mother knelt beside them, brushing their hair and whispering words of comfort. She looked at the human, gratitude shining in her eyes. "You have saved them," she said softly, her voice trembling. I owe you everything." The human nodded, still catching his breath. He realized that this was only the beginning, that helping them would draw him into something larger than he could imagine. But for now, the children were fed, alive, and hope flickered in their eyes, and in that moment, the mother's desperate plea had found its answer. The night fell quickly over the jagged alien mountains, shadows stretching across the valley. The air grew cold, biting through the thin clothing of the human and the alien mother. The children huddled together, still weak but no longer crying, their tiny bodies trembling from hunger and fear. The human sat on a rock nearby, staring into the darkness, his mind racing. He knew that helping this family was dangerous, yet the cries of the children haunted him. Echoing in his thoughts, there was no question now, he had to act. The alien mother leaned close, her breath visible in the cold night. "If you can bring more food, we can survive another day," she whispered, her voice low but filled with urgency. "But the path is dangerous, stranger. Predators and thieves roam this valley." The human nodded, gripping the strap of his backpack. He knew the local creatures were nocturnal hunters, their senses sharp, their claws deadly, yet he could not leave. Not while these innocent lives depended on him. He set off carefully, moving down the rocky ridge. The wind howled around him, and loose stones slipped beneath his boots. Every step required focus, every sound drew his attention. The alien mother followed closely behind, keeping the children hidden in the shadows. She had learned the paths of this harsh terrain. Her knowledge of safe routes and hidden caves made her an invaluable guide. As they walked, the human noticed the subtle changes in the valley. The sparse plants glowed faintly under the moonlight, releasing tiny spores that drifted in the wind. He picked one up, curious, wondering if these plants could be edible. The mother noticed his curiosity, shaking her head. "Not yet, stranger. These are not safe to eat raw. Only the root can feed a child for a day," she said softly, pointing to a hidden burrow near a cliffside. They reached the burrow carefully, pulling the children close. The human crouched, examining the roots. They were thick and covered in strange markings, yet they had the faint smell of sweetness. The alien mother guided him, showing him how to dig without alerting predators. The human followed her instructions precisely, his hands bleeding slightly from the rough soil, yet he did not stop. Finally, they extracted enough roots to feed the children. Their eyes lighting up with hope, the mother prepared the food, cutting it into small pieces. She handed them to the children, who ate cautiously at first, then with more confidence, their weak bodies slowly absorbing the nourishment. The human watched, a sense of satisfaction mingling with unease. He knew this safety was temporary. Suddenly, a rustling sound echoed from the nearby rocks. The human froze, gripping a metal rod he had found earlier. The alien mother's eyes narrowed, scanning the shadows. "Stay behind me," she whispered to the children. Her body tense, ready to defend. A pair of glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. Watching them, the predator had sensed the food. Its claws scraping the stones, the human stepped forward. Placing himself between the creature and the children, he swung the rod, striking a rock to create noise. The predator flinched, then hissed, circling them. Testing their reaction, the mother raised a hand. Signaling the children to stay calm, she whispered to the human, "We need to retreat slowly, do not run. Do not panic." They moved backward carefully, the predator watching, its gaze sharp and calculating every step measured, until they reached a narrow crevice in the rocks, a place the predator could not enter. The children huddled close, breathing heavily, their bodies trembling from both fear and relief. The mother placed a hand on the human's arm, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You risked yourself for them, stranger. You are brave," she said softly. The human nodded. Though he felt the weight of responsibility, he realized that feeding these children was more than an act of kindness. It was a dangerous choice that might cost him his own safety. Yet in the quiet moments, as the children ate, he felt a bond forming, a trust that crossed species and worlds. As the night grew darker, the human and the alien mother made a plan. They would need more food to survive the coming days. But the path would be more dangerous, the predators would become bolder, and rival aliens might attempt to steal what little they had. The human glanced at the children, their small faces lit by the faint glow of bioluminescent plants. He made a decision, firm in his resolve. "I will bring them food," he said, voice steady. "No matter the danger," the mother smiled faintly, a glimmer of hope shining in her amber eyes. "Then we have a chance," she whispered. a chance to survive. Together, the wind carried her words across the valley, mingling with the distant calls of nocturnal predators. The humans set off once more, carefully navigating the treacherous terrain. Each step measured and alert, the children watched him go, trusting him, relying on him. And in that moment, a fragile bond had formed. Between human and alien, between life and survival, the choice had been made. Risky and dangerous, but necessary. And as the night deepened, both knew that the coming days would test their courage, their trust in the strength of a promise made in desperation. The first rays of the alien sun cut through the jagged mountains, spilling pale light over the rocky valley. The human and the alien mother had found a small cave to rest for the night, its walls cool and rough, offering shelter from both predators and the harsh wind. The children slept in a tight huddle, their tiny bodies rising and falling with each shallow breath. The mother sat beside them, her glowing amber eyes reflecting worry and exhaustion. She turned to the human, voice low, hesitant. "There is something I must tell you," she said. The human leaned against the cave wall, alert and curious. His eyes followed her movements as she pulled a small, worn satchel from beneath her cloak. "What is it?" he asked cautiously, sensing the gravity of her words. She opened the satchel, revealing a strange device, small and metallic. Its surface covered in alien symbols. It hummed softly, glowing faintly, like it had a heartbeat of its own. "This," she whispered, "is what protects my family, what keeps us alive. But it is dangerous in the wrong hands." The human studied the device, unsure of what he saw. "It looks like a weapon?" he asked, though his voice carried more curiosity than accusation. She shook her head. "It is not for harming, but for survival," she explained. "It can summon help, or scare away creatures far larger than ourselves. But it draws attention too, attention we cannot afford." Her eyes met his, pleading for understanding. "That is why we are in hiding, and why your choice to help was brave and risky." He nodded slowly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over him like a heavy cloak. "I understand," he said. "But why are you here? Alone with your children? What happened to your family?" The mother's eyes clouded with sorrow, her glowing amber gaze dimming slightly. "We were hunted," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "A clan from our world saw the famine as an opportunity. They took what they wanted and left only the weak behind. My children survived, barely, and I fled with them, hiding wherever I could." The human swallowed hard, imagining the terror and pain she had endured. His heart tightened at the thought of losing one of his own. "And the device?" he asked, pointing gently. "It belonged to your family?" She nodded, fingers brushing over its smooth surface. "Yes, passed down through generations, it is our last hope. Our safeguard against the dangers that hunt us. I cannot risk using it carelessly, or all will be lost." A sudden shiver ran through the human, not from cold but from the gravity of her words. He realized that feeding these children was only a small part of a larger struggle, a struggle that could change the course of their lives, and perhaps the lives of many others. The mother's eyes held a mixture of fear and hope. "You have given us trust," she said softly. "A stranger risking himself for us. I do not know if I can ever repay you fully, but know this. Your choice may save more than just my children." The human felt a strange pull, a mixture of duty and empathy. "Then we must survive," he said firmly. "Together, we can find a way." The mother nodded, though her expression remained serious. "We can," she agreed, "but we must be careful. The valley is not as empty as it seems. Others watch, waiting, and even the smallest mistake could cost lives." The human looked at the children, sleeping peacefully despite the faint hunger in their bellies. "I will protect them," he said almost to himself, "no matter what it takes." The mother's lips curved in a faint smile, gratitude mixing with relief. "You have more courage than most," she whispered, "and courage will be needed in the days to come." Outside the cave, a wind stirred the dust and small stones, carrying sounds from the distant valley, perhaps predators, perhaps other travelers or rival aliens. The human listened carefully, senses sharpened by adrenaline and concern. He realized that every moment of rest was temporary, that soon they would need to move, to find more food, more safety, and more answers. The mother continued, telling him about the children's survival, about the harsh terrain and the hidden paths that led to faint sources of food and water. Her voice, though calm, held an underlying urgency. each word a careful balance between hope and warning. The human absorbed every detail, mapping the paths in his mind, preparing for the journey that lay ahead, aware that one mistake could endanger them all. As the sun climbed higher, spilling warm light into the cave, the human and the alien mother shared a quiet understanding. Words were few, but their trust grew. Fragile but undeniable, they had become a team, bound by survival and compassion. And though danger lurked beyond the cave, each knew that the secrets revealed today had changed the course of their journey, and perhaps the fate of the valley itself. With a final glance at the sleeping children, the human adjusted his backpack, readying himself for the next challenge. The alien mother clasped the strange device tightly, a symbol of hope and risk. Together, they would face the unknown, navigating threats, hunger, and secrets that could destroy or save them. The day ahead promised trials, but it also carried the first glimmers of possibility, and as they stepped from the cave, the wind carrying dust and distant calls, the bond between human and alien had begun to solidify, stronger than fear, stronger than hunger, stronger than any challenge that might come. The valley darkened as storm clouds rolled over the jagged peaks. Shadows stretched long across the rocky terrain, and the wind picked up, carrying dust and the faint scent of rain. The human led the alien mother and her children carefully through the narrow paths. Every step measured, every sound noticed. Their small feet slipped on loose stones, but the mother's guiding hand kept them steady. She whispered softly, urging the children to move quietly. "Do not make a sound, my little ones. The night brings danger." In the distance, faint glowing eyes reflected in the shadows, watching them, waiting. The predators of the valley had been drawn by the scent of food, and perhaps by the scent of life itself. Their growls low and menacing, echoing across the rocks. The human tightened his grip on the metal rod he carried, heart pounding, muscles tense, ready for the first strike. Suddenly, a distant explosion shattered the quiet, rocks tumbling from the cliffside. The human froze, scanning the horizon. The alien mother's eyes widened, fear and recognition mixing in her gaze. "They have found us," she whispered urgently. "The rival clan. They have tracked our trail." She pulled the children closer, pressing them against her body, their small forms trembling. She looked to the human, pleading silently for strength, guidance and protection. Without hesitation, the human scanned the valley, plotting their route. "We must move through the canyon," he said firmly, pointing to a narrow pass partially hidden by jagged rocks. "It is dangerous, but it is safer than the open ground." The mother nodded, and together they began moving, slipping through the rocky shadows, their bodies low and silent, every step a test of courage, every breath a measure of fear. The first of the rival clan appeared, dark figures moving with precision, weapons glinting under the dim light. The human froze for a heartbeat, then pushed the mother and children behind a large boulder, ready to confront the threat. He swung the metal rod, striking it against stone, creating a loud echo that drew the attention of the nearest enemy. The alien mother's eyes widened, but she did not flinch. She whispered, "Now go," urging the children to run through a narrow crevice. The human followed closely, striking at anyone who tried to block their path. The children stumbled but kept moving, their small hands gripping their mother's cloak. The rival aliens hissed and shouted, but the human and the mother were faster, using the terrain to their advantage. Narrow ledges, hidden caves, and sharp cliffs slowed the pursuers, giving them precious seconds to escape. Rain began to fall, light at first, then heavier, hammering the rocks and washing the valley in cold, stinging water. The human's hair and clothing were soaked, the mud clinging to his boots, but he did not slow. Every step a struggle against the storm and the threat behind them. The children shivered, but the mother held them close, whispering soothing words, promising safety and warmth if they could just reach the hidden cave ahead. A sudden crack of thunder split the sky, startling the children. One of them slipped on a wet rock, crying out in fear. The human grabbed the small hand. Lifting the child to safety, the mother nodded in approval, a flicker of pride in her glowing eyes. "You are brave," she whispered softly, "even in fear. You are brave." They reached the entrance of a small, concealed cave, hidden behind a cascade of rocks and thick vines. The human helped the children inside, the mother following closely. Then he blocked the entrance with a heavy stone, giving them temporary protection outside. The rival clan's shouts echoed, frustration in their voices as they realized the family had disappeared. The human pressed his back against the wall, catching his breath, eyes scanning for more threats inside the cave. The children huddled together. Shivering and scared, the mother knelt beside them, brushing wet hair from their faces, whispering comfort and reassurance. "We are safe for now," she said softly, though her own voice trembled with tension. "But we must remain quiet and careful." The human nodded, sitting near the entrance, listening intently, every sound from the storm or the valley outside a potential threat. As the rain poured outside, a low rumble echoed through the cave, not thunder, but the movement of the rival clan searching, their presence a constant reminder that survival was temporary. The human glanced at the alien mother, understanding the depth of her fear and desperation. "We will find a way," he said quietly, though he knew the challenge ahead would be greater than anything they had faced. The mother pulled the children close, one by one, whispering words of hope, of trust, of courage. "We have survived this long," she murmured, "and with him, the human, we may survive longer. But the journey is far from over." Outside, the storm raged, the valley dark and threatening. Yet inside the cave, a fragile bond had grown stronger. Between human and alien, between life and courage, and as the children slowly drifted to sleep, exhausted but alive, the human and the mother prepared for the trials yet to come, knowing that the night's dangers were only the beginning. The storm finally began to ease, leaving the jagged valley glistening with rain and the scent of wet earth. The human and the alien mother remained inside the small cave, the children slowly recovering from fear and exhaustion, their tiny bodies huddled together, shivering less now as warmth began to return. The mother moved carefully among them, brushing dirt and wet hair from their faces, whispering soft encouragement. "You are safe for now. My little ones, eat slowly, drink, and regain your strength." The human watched quietly, his heart swelling at the sight. Despite the danger, despite the uncertainty, there was a moment of peace, a fragile calm between storms. He reached into his backpack, pulling out small rations he had saved, offering pieces to the children. Their tiny hands took the food, hesitant at first, then more confidently. The mother nodded approvingly, her amber eyes glowing faintly. "You have done well," she said softly. "We may survive longer because of you." As the children ate, the mother began to speak, revealing more about her past, her voice low, filled with both sorrow and determination. "Before the famine, our settlement was strong, peaceful and full of life. But when the drought came, resources disappeared, and rival clans began hunting our people for food and control. We tried to hide, to escape, but many were taken, and my family was destroyed." Her eyes glistened, reflecting grief and resilience. "These children survived by hiding, by following my instructions, by listening to my voice, and now you, stranger, have given them a chance at life." The human listened intently, absorbing every detail, every word. He began to understand the depth of the mother's fear, her desperation and her courage. "And this device," he said, pointing to the small metallic object she carried. "Is it the only reason your family survived?" She nodded, running her fingers over its glowing surface. "It is both protection and hope," she explained. "It repels predators, alerts allies, and sometimes guides those lost in the valley, but it is dangerous, for it draws attention from enemies who would kill for it." The human considered her words carefully, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He realized that feeding the children had been only the first step, that their survival depended on more than simple food. It required trust, courage, and understanding of a world far different from his own. The mother's eyes met his, glowing faintly in the dim cave light. "I have seen many humans pass by," she said. "Few have the courage to help. Fewer still have the heart to protect us. You have given more than food, stranger. You have given trust, and that is precious." The children finished eating, their small bodies stronger, and began to explore the cave cautiously, their wide eyes curious but careful. The mother allowed them a few moments of play, watching them with a mixture of relief and vigilance. She turned to the human. "We must move soon," she said quietly. "The rival clan will not give up easily, and we cannot linger in one place too long." The human nodded, already thinking of the paths, the hidden routes, and the strategies they could use to avoid detection. Then she revealed something more, something that changed the human's understanding of their situation. "The device I carry," she said, "is linked to a larger network, a chain of safe places and allies scattered across the valley. If we reach them, we may find others who survived the famine. others who can help us, but the path is long, and many dangers lie ahead. Her amber eyes shone with determination. We cannot do this alone, but with your courage and our knowledge, we may succeed. The human felt a strange sense of purpose, a bond forming that went beyond survival. Beyond food and shelter, it was trust, empathy, and hope. He realized that protecting these children and their mother was no longer just an act of kindness. It was part of something larger, a journey that could change the fate of many. The mother noticed his resolve, a faint smile on her face. Then we move together, she said, as a team, as family, for survival and for hope. As the rain ceased completely, sunlight filtered through the cave entrance, casting faint patterns on the rocky floor. The human and the alien mother began to prepare the children for the next leg of their journey, gathering supplies, securing the small device, and planning their route. The children, though still weak, followed instructions carefully, sensing the importance of their actions. The human adjusted his backpack, his mind focused, alert, and ready for whatever lay ahead. Outside, the valley seemed calm, but danger was never far. The rival clan still searched, predators still prowled, and the harsh environment continued to challenge their survival. Yet inside the cave, a fragile bond had strengthened. Between human and alien, between life and hope, and between courage and trust. And as they stepped into the valley once more, the human knew that this journey would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. But he was ready. And so was the family he had chosen to protect. The valley was quiet, too quiet, as the human led the alien mother and her children along a narrow ridge. The storm from the previous night had left the rocks slippery and treacherous. Each step required care, every sound amplified in the empty air. The children clung to their mother's hands, trusting her guidance and the presence of the human, their small faces pale but determined, their bodies stronger after the food and rest from the cave. The human's eyes scanned the valley constantly, muscles tense, ready for any sudden movement. He knew that danger was close, that the rival clan would not give up their pursuit so easily. The alien mother's fingers brushed against the metallic device she carried, her amber eyes alert, signaling that she too sensed the growing threat. She whispered urgently to the human, "We must decide. The path ahead is dangerous, but it is the only way to safety. If we delay, we risk everything." Suddenly, a shadow moved along the cliff edge. Swift and silent, the human froze, recognizing the signs of the rival clan scouts. They were fast, skilled, and ruthless, their weapons glinting in the faint sunlight. Ready to strike, the mother pulled the children close, whispering words of comfort and courage. "Stay behind me, my little ones. Do not move. Do not cry." The human stepped forward, placing himself between the children and the approaching threat. His rod ready, muscles coiled like springs. The scouts stopped, observing, calculating their attack. The human realized that fighting them directly would be dangerous, perhaps fatal. Yet he could not abandon the children. Not now, not ever. He glanced at the mother, who nodded, understanding the unspoken plan. Together, they would do what was necessary to protect the children. The first scout moved quickly. Attempting to circle them, the human lunged, striking a rock to create noise and misdirection. The scout stumbled, giving the children precious seconds to move. The mother led them toward a narrow cave hidden behind a cascade of vines, their small hands grasping tightly. Their trust in both guides absolute. The rival scouts hissed in frustration, unable to follow easily. The human knew this temporary advantage would not last long. A sudden roar echoed from the valley below. Not human, not alien, but something far larger, more dangerous. The human's heart skipped a beat. Knowing that predators were drawn to both movement and sound, he realized that they were caught between the rival clan and the natural dangers of the valley. The mother's eyes widened with fear, but she did not falter, guiding the children carefully, whispering reassurance. "Courage, my little ones, trust in us." "Trust in him?" The human glanced back, seeing the scouts closing in, and the shadow of a massive predator approaching from below. His mind raced, calculating every possibility. Every path, every choice carried risk. Perhaps death, perhaps loss. He knew that to save the children, he might have to make the ultimate sacrifice. His chest tightened, but he did not hesitate. He picked up a large rock, dragging it into the narrow path behind them, creating a barrier to slow both the scouts and the predator. The mother whispered in alarm, "No, you will risk yourself." But the human shook his head, determination clear in his eyes. "I have to," he said simply, I cannot let them die. As the children and mother slipped through the hidden cave, he faced the scouts and the predator alone, using every ounce of strength. Every trick he had learned from survival in the valley. He fought to block the path, throwing rocks, creating noise, and drawing the attention of both threats. The scouts shouted in confusion. The predator growled, circling, all while the children watched from the safety of the cave, fear and hope mingling in their wide eyes. Time seemed endless, every moment stretching into eternity. But slowly, steadily, the children moved deeper into the cave system, guided by the mother, their small feet finding purchase on slippery stones, their hearts pounding but courage growing. Finally, they were out of sight. Safe, the human, drenched in sweat and mud, faced the remaining threats. Every muscle screaming, his heart heavy, yet filled with resolve. The mother's voice reached him faintly from the cave entrance, whispering thanks and encouragement. You are our guardian, our protector, stranger. You have given us life, the human nodded, even as he prepared to face what might be his final stand. The predator lunged, the scouts attacked, but the human's determination was unbreakable. Every strike, every movement a testament to his courage. His ultimate sacrifice was not only for survival, but for hope, for the children, for the mother, for the bond they had formed in the valley of danger. And though the outcome remained uncertain, one truth was clear. The human had given everything to protect the innocent, and in that moment, bravery and sacrifice shone brighter than fear. The children, safe in the cave, felt the strength of his choice, trusting that their protector would endure, no matter the cost. The valley was calm at last, the storm from previous nights finally gone. Sunlight filtered through the jagged cliffs, casting golden patterns on the wet rocks. The human led the alien mother and her children along a safe path, every step careful yet lighter now. There was no immediate threat, no predators or rival clan in sight. For the first time in days, the children laughed softly, tiny voices blending with the sound of trickling water. Their small hands held tightly to their mother, yet their eyes were bright with hope. The mother walked beside the human, her amber eyes reflecting gratitude, relief, and a faint smile. We have survived much together, she said quietly. More than I ever imagined, and it is because of you. Stranger? The human nodded, feeling the weight of exhaustion, but also a warmth in his chest. He realized that what had begun as a desperate choice had grown into something deeper, a bond that could not be broken. They reached a hidden grove, a place the mother had known as safe, its ground soft and covered with alien flora, small streams providing clean water. The children ran ahead, laughing and playing, their small bodies stronger now, their hunger satisfied for the moment. The human watched them with a mixture of pride and wonder, seeing life return where despair had almost claimed it. The mother approached him, holding the small metallic device close, its glow faint but steady. This has protected us, yes, she said softly. But it was your courage, your willingness to risk yourself for us, that truly kept us alive. She looked at the children, then back to the human, her expression serious yet gentle. I made a promise before when I begged you for help, that I would be yours forever if you saved them. But now I see that your heart belongs to more than one, that it belongs to all who need you. The human smiled faintly, feeling the weight of her words. I did not act for reward, he said. I did it because it was right, because they needed help, and I could not turn away. The mother nodded, understanding, her glowing eyes softening. Then we are bound by trust, by survival, and by hope, she said, her voice filled with quiet strength. As they rested in the grove, the human and the mother shared stories, laughing softly with the children. The small moments of joy seemed miraculous after days of fear and danger. The children, sensing safety, explored the grove, discovering strange plants, small creatures, and hidden streams. Their laughter echoed, a sound almost foreign in the harsh valley. Yet it reminded them all why they had fought so hard, why courage and sacrifice mattered. The human looked at the horizon, noting the distant mountains and hidden valleys, paths he had yet to explore. He realized that this journey was far from over, but the first chapter had ended. Their survival and growing bond had given them strength for what lay ahead. The alien mother approached him again, her hand resting lightly on his arm. We will find others like us, she said. Safe places, allies, and maybe even hope for our people. But for now we have each other, and that is enough to begin anew. The children ran to the human, small hands grasping his, their eyes wide with admiration and trust. The human knelt, smiling at them, feeling their gratitude and innocence. "We will protect each other," he said, "always." The mother nodded, understanding the importance of those words, and for the first time, truly believing that together they could overcome any danger. As the sun climbed higher, the valley warmed, shadows retreating, and the group moved forward slowly, deliberately, each step a testament to courage, trust, and resilience. The rival clan and predators were still out there, lurking in the distance, but the human, the mother, and the children were stronger now, bonded by shared trials and acts of bravery. They had learned to rely on each other, to trust and to hope, even in a world filled with danger. The human carried the small device carefully, knowing it was a symbol of survival, yet understanding that it was their courage and unity that mattered more. The mother held her children close, whispering words of love and protection, and the children laughed and ran, free in the moment, unaware of the dangers that still existed, yet safe in the care of those who loved them. And so in that hidden grove, a new beginning unfolded, not just for survival, but for life, for hope, for trust, and for love. The human had chosen to protect them, the mother had chosen to trust him, and the children had chosen to believe in both. Together they faced the world ahead. Stronger, braver, and united, their journey would continue, full of challenges and wonder, but for now, they had found safety, family, and the promise of a future worth fighting for.